Hey there. If you're the kind of person who craves jaw-dropping stories that stay with you long after they're told, you're exactly where you need to be. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and become a part of our little storytelling family. Now, let's begin. I never imagined that breaking his trust would feel like losing a part of myself, but that's exactly what happened. And when he walked away, he didn't just leave with his things. He took my heart with him. When I first met Ethan, everything finally clicked. He wasn't like anyone I'd ever dated before. He was calm, endlessly patient, and actually listened, not just waited for his turn to speak. Our connection was instant, electric, like the universe had finally aligned for us. I let myself believe this time would be different, that maybe love really could be enough to protect us from the storms that had ruined so many of my past relationships. We had been together for 2 years, building a life that, from the outside, looked picture perfect. Friends envied us. We had our inside jokes, our weekend rituals, and long, cozy nights spent talking about everything and nothing. Ethan felt like home. He was my anchor, my calm in the chaos. Or so I thought. What I didn't tell anyone, what I didn't even let myself admit at first, was that I was hiding a secret I convinced myself was harmless, a tiny spark of recklessness that quickly spiraled into something I couldn't control. It started with Jason, an old co-worker from years ago who popped up in my messages out of nowhere. At first, it was innocent, just catching up, friendly banter. But then the messages started to shift. They became more frequent, flirtatious. I told myself I was just bored, that it didn't mean anything, that it was harmless because I wasn't actually doing anything yet. Then one night, after a fight with Ethan, nothing major, just one of those exhausting emotional standstills, I picked up my phone, and instead of texting Ethan, I found myself replying to Jason. I didn't even hesitate. It was like flipping a switch inside myself I didn't know existed. A sudden rush of attention and thrill I hadn't felt in years. That night, I made a choice, a devastating one. I met Jason for coffee, pretending it was just to get clarity, just to close the chapter, but I knew better. I felt at the moment we sat down. It wasn't about closure. It was about escape. One thing led to another, and before I could talk myself out of it, we kissed. It was wild and reckless and wrong, and it felt like something I couldn't stop, even when every part of me knew I should. After that, I began to live 2 lives. I ghosted Ethan's calls, ignored his texts, pulled away while convincing myself I could fix it all later, that I'd come clean, that we'd patch the cracks. But I didn't stop. I kept seeing Jason. The moments we shared were hot, intoxicating, but they were also shadowed by the image of Ethan, waiting for me at home with that kind, unsuspecting heart of his. I told myself I was in control, that I could stop whenever I wanted. But the deeper I sank, the harder it was to imagine climbing out, until everything came crashing down. It was Claire, Ethan's sister, who reached out first. Her voice was soft, but there was something behind it. A weight. She asked if I was okay, if I needed to talk. And just like that, I felt my stomach drop. When I asked why she was checking in, she said there were rumors. About me, about Jason. And I knew. Ethan had found out. My body went cold. I wanted to vanish, to run, to deny everything. But I didn't. I couldn't. When Ethan confronted me, he didn't yell. He didn't rage. He just looked at me like he was seeing a stranger. His voice was quiet, hollow. I trusted you. How could you do this to us? I tried to explain, to say I was sorry, but the words felt small, empty. What do you say when you've crushed the one person who would have done anything for you? He left that night. No drama, no threats, just silence. And somehow, that silence was the loudest pain I'd ever known. Days turned into weeks. I barely functioned. Regret clung to me like a second skin. I replayed every message, every lie, every time I should have stopped, but didn't. And then, out of nowhere, Ethan sent a message. Just 2 words. Meet me. My heart nearly gave out. I didn't know if he wanted closure or confrontation, but I went. He looked different. Not angry. Just guarded. Like someone who'd learned the hard way not to hand over his heart without armor. We talked for hours, slipping between light conversation and raw honesty. He told me how shattered he'd felt, how betrayed, but also that he wasn't ready to hate me. "I don't know if I can trust you the same way," he said, "but you still have my heart, and I think I still have yours." And he was right. I had broken him. But in doing so, I'd broken something inside myself too, a part of me that believed I was worthy of love. Since that night, the journey back has been slow, painful. There are days when guilt wraps around my throat and makes it hard to breathe, when every laugh feels tainted, when the past lurks behind every smile. But we're trying, both of us, trying to rebuild something from the rubble. I often wonder if love is enough, if forgiveness can truly patch the cracks. I know now that trust isn't something you fix with a grand gesture. It's fragile, and once it's shattered, the pieces never fit the same. I started therapy, not for Ethan, for me, because I needed to understand what led me to Jason, what made me torch the very thing I cherish most. And I learned it wasn't about desire. It was about fear. Fear of being vulnerable. Fear of being fully seen. Fear that I wasn't enough and never would be. Ethan stayed distant for a while. When we did talk, it was cautious. Every word weighed like a fragile heirloom. No rushing. No pretending things were fine. Just two broken people staring at the wreckage, trying to decide if it was worth rebuilding. Then one day he surprised me. He showed up at my apartment holding a small box. Inside were pieces of us. Ticket stubs, Polaroids, handwritten notes I'd forgotten I'd even written. He held them like something sacred. "I've been holding on to these," he said quietly, "because even if we're broken, this was real." Something cracked open inside me. It wasn't about perfect love or forgetting the past. It was about honoring what we'd had, flawed, beautiful, real, and deciding it was still worth fighting for.